Hey and welcome. It's mid-July. Yay. And you know what? For most of us, all the structure we had in our homeschool, in our lessons and things like that have pretty much faded. We're in vacation mode and things are slower, maybe a little more organic, and there's no lesson plans and things like that. It's totally normal. I want you to think about using this time as a way to really notice and reveal a lot about the way that your child works, the way that they learn, and how you can match that up with what you're going to be doing in the fall and how you can actually use it to design what you're going to start doing in the fall. And this is something that I am all about because this is real mentoring here. This unstructured time, it's showing you things about your child that wouldn't necessarily be revealed when you're in the full schedule, in the school year, deep into all your things. Now, if you're in a mentor culture already, this is something that you already do. But if you've been doing a lot of box checking, traditional school method, this is going to be very revealing to you. And I'm going to show you exactly the things to look for so that you can look at your kids and observe them while you're doing all your vacay things and while you're out and about during your days, getting your summer projects done, just lounging by the pool. And you can actually notice some things that are going to be really key to help you plan that fall. Now, structure that we have during the school year, it can actually hide things from us because it's either very rigid or we're using a very rigid, strict adherence to the lessons in our curriculum that we're using. And it can be not authentic in the way that our kid actually works and our kids' brains work and the way that they actually learn. When every day has a specific plan, you don't necessarily see what the child chooses on their own and what your kids are drawn to, how they're learning, in which ways, and what rabbit trails they want to go down. Structure answers the questions kids have or gives them the questions instead of them asking and them instigating. So we want to just notice these things. And also, when you're in that summer non-structure lackadaisical time, maybe you do have a little bit of structure because we haven't lost all our structure. We continue to learn throughout summertime. Mid-July is a time for different projects and things, and maybe we're going on vacation, so some vacation time too, but that doesn't mean the learning stops, right? We just have to notice things differently. And what's left in that space of that noticing things differently is actually very valuable in how you can put together your fall so that you don't end up with the complaining, the frustration, the like, we got to do our schoolwork kind of thing. When you get to the fall, it just glides right into. I'm going to show you how to do that. So it doesn't have to be formal. This is not like a super specific step-by-step thing. Just need to have your eyes open and your thinking caps on, as your elementary teacher would say. And you need to think about how your kids are actually learning. So what's happening right now is that your kids are still learning, like I just said, but you want to notice some things. I'm going to give you 6 different things to look for. And these are very easy and very simple. And I want you to think about, especially how what you did before in the last semester, last year, how that did or did not show up, because it might have showed up, but it might not have. And I want you to think about that. And then I'm going to show you how to put that into your next year to make it so much more engaging, so much more curiosity, so much more fun, and so much more motivation coming from your kids. Because, I mean, that's what we want, right? We want them to own their own education. And you being the mentor, not the manager of all the learning. You're not being the instigator of everything, of learning. First thing I want you to notice as a mentor, mentors notice things. They pick up on little bits. And as parents, we often do that, right? We pick on little bits of things and we just notice stuff. So this is what you're probably already doing already in one sense, but I want you to think about it in learning terms. So their interests, I want you to think about their interests. Number one, what are they drawn to? That just maybe nobody's assigning them to. They're just exploring. Or is it books or different shows? What kind of shows? Conversations? What engages them the most? Random rabbit trails they go into. And all of this is information. Just take it, take notes. You might even want to take notes. You can easily do just a little voice memo, and just save it for later, right? So their interest is number one. Number two is how they're learning, not just what they're learning. They're still learning, right? But how are they doing it? So even the most laid back kid, you got to notice it. You got to notice it. So are they asking questions? Are they figuring things out on their own? They're just the kid that they don't need an instruction manual. They'll just figure it out. Or maybe they like to create it instead of having the instruction manual. That's something very important for us to know. Maybe they like trial and error, they like the manual and they really want to keep it. And they like having that instruction. Maybe they're teaching themselves something. How does that happen? Because they are at some point during the summer, they're teaching themselves something. And do they do it through curiosity or through repetition? They're like, okay, no, I want to learn this. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this task over and over so that I get it. And maybe as you're watching this, you're thinking about how they're picking up. Are they coming to you for help, or they want to leave me alone? I'll get it. Okay. So think about that kind of stuff. Not just what they're learning, but also how they're learning it. That's number two. Number three is how they handle unstructured time. Oh, the boredom. Here we go. And for a lot of kids, you get the siblings going at each other and they're fighting. But think about, what do they gravitate toward? Do they pick a book during unstructured time? Do they start coloring? Do they start doing an art project? Or they want to listen to music or whatever strikes their fancy? What is that for them? Unstructured time. Do they need help and a little nudge? For us, we always say that boredom is a choice. There's lots of things to do, and you can totally find something to do. Is they're complaining? Are they not used to boredom? Because sometimes that's a clue too about maybe there's too much structure and their time is hyper managed, and they don't get a chance to figure out how to manage their own time. That's something we've had a conversation with my son a lot lately. Is I really want him to be disciplined in managing his own time. Now, he's a late teen, so he can start to figure this out. But we started a long time ago with understanding, what does 10 minutes look like? What does 5 minutes look like? What does a half hour look like? How much can we accomplish in a half hour? What can we do that takes that long? So you start to notice time, the passage of time, and they can get a sense of what that is. A lot of kids don't have that. And then we build in structures so that he's taking on ownership and he's managing his own time. It's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. But if they can figure out that skill right now, woo, they will be ready for life, right? I mean, how many adults don't know how to manage their own time? It's really important for the kids to understand that. So thinking about how they handle unstructured time really gives us a good sense, but you got to give them the unstructured time. It's a little scary. I understand, especially when the kids start fighting, things like that, but that gives you an opportunity for you to give some lessons about conflict resolution, about relationships, about serving, all these things, right? All of the things. So, how they handle unstructured time is very key. And then, what questions do they ask? And what questions do they not ask? Are they trying to figure things out on their own and they're so determined to figure it out all by themselves that they will not ask a question to save their lives because they are determined to do it all on their own? That can be something useful, but it can also be a hindrance too. Just noticing right now how they handle things and what questions they ask. Like, are they asking how to questions? Are they asking why questions? Are those kinds of things are very important. A lot of kids who are really structured and are used to formal like school type curriculum, especially if you're from school and you're transferring to homeschool, they're not used to asking why. They just get stuff. They're not used to asking, or anyone else for that matter, asking them why. There's a lot of what, but not a lot of why. And there's not a lot of conversation around that and depth in there. So it's a good thing to notice if your kids are just asking what questions versus why questions or how questions, right? Because they don't get asked how a lot of times either. They just get told how, but not asked how they think it should be done. Very different. Know what I'm saying? You get a glimpse of everything that's going through their little brains right now. And the fifth thing is genuine curiosity versus polite engagement. Are they really genuinely interested and curious about stuff? We're talking about love of learning. How high is their level of learning? What is their level of love of learning right now? That's what we're looking at. Are they curious and they're engaging, they're asking to do projects? Or is it like polite engagement, like I'll do it if you ask me and I won't complain too much? I'll just do it. That could be a sign that perhaps there's a lot of management happening in your homeschool versus mentoring. And when mentoring is very high and management is lower, there has to be some management, of course. But when it's lower and the lower we can get it, the more mentoring we can get, the more it's going to come from them. So we got to think about and look at now during the summer when it's a little bit unstructured, we have to think about, are they curious versus us asking them to do things and they just do it because? And that's okay too. They have to do some things. Like I asked my son today to water the front yard because I watered the backyard. It's like 1,000,000 degrees outside. I didn't want to do the front yard either. And I didn't have time to do both sides. So I asked him, I said, when I finish the back, can you go do the front? And he was like, yeah, totally fine. And he actually went out there before he heard me turn off the water in the back. And then he went out in the front and he did it. And I was like, oh, you're out here already. He says, I heard you turn off the water in the back. So I just came out to do it. There are times when that's necessary, when I ask him to do something and it's important that he's not fighting back on it. But more curiosity should be coming from them consistently. We want to make sure that that's happening. If it's not, it's a cue to us to address that. And that's important for us leading into the fall. The last one, the sixth thing I want you to look for is what trips them up. What is the thing that's just, every time they get in this situation, they can't get past it. Every time they get in a certain decision, they freeze up. What is that thing? Maybe it's more than one, but do they give up? When do they give up? How do they give up? When do they get frustrated? When do they come to ask you questions or not? Is there relationship issues that need to be dealt with? Like between siblings, maybe parent-child relationships with you or your spouse and the one child. Maybe it's a confidence issue that you need to look at. Every time your child gets confronted with something hard, they just, no, I'm not doing it. One of our Inspiring Lifelong Learning Academy members, she said that about her son coming from school. He just automatically gives up, and they allowed him to give up during school when he was in class. And that's okay on one level, but if that's what he knows, I can just give up anytime. That's not challenging his brain. Of course, they were doing it in the completely wrong way because they were assigning him things that he wasn't ready for. I get all that. But it happens a lot with our kids, especially kids coming from school, or if we've been doing a lot of box checking, managing in our homeschool. We want to see where those blocks come up. And this is all useful data. This is all things that we need to use to really set us up for gliding into the fall without any complaining, frustration, and making sure that our homeschool looks better and feels better and functions better and has more love of learning and curiosity than last year. Wouldn't that be great? I love it. I love it. This tells you all of these things, these 6 different things that we went through, tells you their learning styles. It tells you where they get stuck. It tells you their confidence level, it tells you their love of learning level, their curiosity, relationships. All of that matters in what curriculum you choose. Don't choose curriculum yet. Now, all of this data matters. It matters to your schedules. It matters to your routines. It matters to your relationship with learning as a family. It's very, very important. And ultimately, it matters to whether you're actually raising lifelong learners or you're raising kids who box check really well. I was that kid. I box checked really well. So I want you to think about how you're relating to your child, how all of this data that I want you to gather. And without a plan necessarily, I just want you to gather the data. And then what I want you to do is I want you to think about how all that stuff affected last year and what we can do to change it next year. So it feels like you're just going through the motions, you're just having a break, you're doing the summer thing. That's all good. It's totally fine. But they're still learning, they're still doing stuff, and I want you to notice all of the 6 things we talked about. And it will definitely be one of the most revealing summers that you ever had. It's going to tell you so much about each individual child and what needs to happen in your homeschool. And if you're noticing all of this, even just for the next week, and want help turning it into a plan, because this is the perfect data for us to do a love of learning reset before school starts. If you don't, you're going to end up doing a lot of the same things that you did before that weren't working. You might not start out that way or you fall into that trap later. I see it so many times. And within a few weeks, you go back into doing what you did before and everybody's frustrated. It happens a lot. I get it. We just need to reset. We need to reset all of these things so that we're building a plan that has routines, systems, curriculum, schedules, all of these things that actually build up our kids, their ownership, being a mentor to them, and allowing that curiosity to thrive instead of managing it all the time. It feels good. I promise you, it feels good. So if that's you and you want help planning that, let's talk. Go ahead and schedule a time to chat with me live. This is directly with me. All of this information is super individual. And so it's really important that we talk live so that you can make a plan that's individualized for your family and your kids. Go ahead and schedule in the link in the show notes, in the YouTube description, wherever you're watching or listening to this, you will have access to that schedule link and we can just have a quick chat and we can start to see where your data can actually turn into a reset and a plan to build up your homeschool to match what your kids are doing and thinking and how they learn. It's going to be beautiful. I promise. It's going to be fun. So let's chat and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye-bye.